Part 2, Chapters 26 and 27. It was impossible to listen to such stories empty-handed. As soon as Grayson started one, Maniac would reach into one of the equipment bags and pull out a ball or a bat or a catcher's mitt, sniffing the scuffed horsehide aroma of the ball, rippling the fingertips over the red stitching. It's hard to say how these things can make the listening better, but they do, and for Maniac, they did. And of course, as happens with baseball, one thing led to another, and pretty soon the two of them were tossing a ball back and forth. And then they were outside, where the throws could be longer, where you could play pepper on the outfield grass of the Legion field, the old man pitching, the kid tapping grounders, where you could shag fungos, the old man popping high flyers, the kid chasing them down. Oh, I remember doing that. And now the stories were mixed with instruction. The grizzled, rickety coot showing the kid how to spray liners to the opposite field, how to get a jump on a long fly ball even before the batter hits it, how to throw the curveball, stiff, crooked fingers that grappled clumsily with crimpet wrappers curled naturally around the shape of the baseball. With a ball in his hand, the park handyman became a professor. As to the art of pitching, of course, the old man could show and tell, but he could no longer do, except for one pitch, the only one left in his repertoire from the old days. He called it the stop ball, and it nearly drove Maniac goofy. The old man claimed he discovered the stop ball one day down in the Texas League, and that was his long gone from baseball when he perfected it. Unlike most pitches, the stop ball involved no elements of surprise. On the contrary, the old man would always announce it. "Okay," he called from the mound, "here she comes. Now keep your eye on her because she's going to float on up there, and just about the time she's over the plate, she's going to stop." Now, nobody else ever hit it, so don't you go getting upset if you don't get it. It's no shame to whiff on the stop ball, and then he throw it. Well, of course, Maniac knew that most, if not all of that, was baloney, and just to make sure, he watched the ball extra carefully. There sure didn't seem to be anything unusual about it, not at first, anyway. But as the ball came closer, it did somehow seem to get more and more peculiar. And by the time it reached the plate, it might just as well have stopped, because Maniac never knew if he was swinging at the old man's pitch or at his speed. Whatever, in weeks of trying, he never hit it out of the infield. It was October. The trees rimming the outfield were flaunting their colors. The kids in their geezer baseball, their lunchtimes away, and the after-dinner times and weekends. And every night, as the old man left for his room at the Y, he would grouse and say, "You got to go to school." And one night the kid said back, "I do." And that's how the old man found out what the kid was doing with his mornings. He had noticed the books before, rows and rows of them. He kept growing. But there being books, he didn't think much of it. Now the kid tells him, "You know the money you give me?" Each morning he gave the kid 50 cents or $1 to get himself some crimpets. Well, I take it up to the library. Right inside the door, they have these books they're selling. Cases of them, old books they don't want anymore. They only cost 5 or 10 cents a piece, he pointed to the piles. I buy them. He showed them to the old man. Ancient, back-broken math books, flaking travel books, warped spellers, mangled mysteries, biographies, music books, astronomy books, cookbooks. "What's the matter?" said the old man. "Can't you make up your mind what kind you want?" The kid laughed. "I want them all." He threw his hands out. "I'm learning everything." He opened one of the books. "Look, geometry, triangles, okay? Isosceles triangles. These two legs, they look equal to you." The old man squinted. He nodded. "Okay, but can you prove it?" The old man studied the triangle for a full minute. "If I had a ruler, maybe." "No ruler." The old man sighed. "I guess I give up." So the kid proved it. Absolutely dead center proved it. 2 days later, while playing pepper at the Legion field, the old man said to the kid, "So why don't you go ahead and teach me how to read?" The old man doesn't know how to read. Wow. I got to read more. Chapter 27. The story he told now was not about baseball. It was about parents who were drunk a lot and always leaving him on his own. About being put in classes where they just cut paper and played games all day. About a teacher who whispered to a principal just outside the classroom door. This bunch will never learn to read a stop sign. Right then and there, as if to make the teacher right, he stopped trying. The part I didn't tell about Bluefield, I was only 15. I ran away. The kid and the old man climbed into the pickup. They made 3 stops. First, they stopped by the park office at the zoo, where Grayson told the superintendent he just wanted to work part-time for a while in the afternoons. "Fine," said the superintendent, "just so you don't expect to get paid full-time." Then they went to the library book sale racks and bought about 20 old picture books, such as The Story of a Bar, Mike Mulligan's Steam Shovel, and The Little Engine That Could. Then they went to Woolworth's for a small portable blackboard and a piece of chalk. Within 3 days, Grayson had the alphabet down pat, the shapes, the sounds. So the young kid is teaching the older guy how to read. After a week, he could read 10 one-syllable words, but he was reading them from memory. It took another couple of weeks before he began to get the hang of sounding out words he had never seen before. The old man showed up early, knack for consonants. Sometimes he got M and N mixed up, but that the only one that gave him trouble day in and day out was C. It reminded him of a bronc somehow. Cowboy dared him to ride in the Texas League days. He would saddle up that C, climb aboard, and grip the pommel for dear life. And old C, more often than not, it would throw him. Whenever that happened, he just climbed right back onto the rider some more. Pretty soon, C saw who was boss and gave up the fight. But even at their ornerious, what a word, consonants were fun. Vowels were something else. He didn't like them, and they didn't like him. There were only 5 of them. But they seemed to be everywhere. Why would you go through 20 words without bumping into some of the shyer consonants? But it seemed as if you wouldn't tiptoe past a syllable without waking up a vowel. A-E-I-O-U. Consonants, anything but a vowel, you knew pretty much where they stood, but you could never trust a vowel. To the old pitcher, they were like his old knuckleball coming back to haunt him. In, out, up, down. Not even the pitcher, much less the batter, knew much that would break. He kept swinging and missing. But the kid was a good manager and tough. He would never let him slink back to the showers, but kept sending him back up to the plate. The kid used different words, but in his ears, the old minor leaguer heard, "Keep your eye on it. Hold your swing. Watch it all the way in. Don't be anxious. Just make contact." And soon enough, that's what he was doing, nailing those vowels on the button, writing them from consonant to consonant, syllable to syllable, word to word. One day, the kid wrote on the blackboard, "I see the ball." And the old man studied it a while and said slowly, gingerly, "I see the ball." Maniac whooped, "You're reading." "I'm reading," yipped the old man. His smile was so wide, he'd have to break it into sections to fit it through the doorway. Oh, that's kind of